Hello, I'm the Hood Trucker, and this is the Hood Trucker News. Boy, as you can see, I'm not in the studio. I'm out here in the truck. Life done threw your boy a curveball, and I had to hit it out the park. And by hitting it out the park, I mean, I gotta get back in the truck. It's cool though. It's cool. I don't really like this is not my favorite thing to do in life, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Um, we're gonna talk about, but enough of that. We're gonna talk about the Fani Willis stuff, which is crazy because um, we're gonna look at two different perspectives and two different ways you can look at this. Uh, there's a way to look at it as Fani Willis being a little sloppy with the power that she was bestowed upon with. That's how you say that. And you can also look at the people who is bringing the suit and bringing the complaint, which is one of Trump's underlings involved with the RICO indictments and all that. So what happened is that one of the co-defendants in the Trump RICO indictment in Georgia somehow came across the divorce of the leading prosecutor or special prosecutor who is is being questioned for his experience, and there's a question about the personal relationship that Fani Willis and this, I call him a side dude, and the side dude had, because the crazy thing was that, as we'll hear, because we're gonna look at both sides. So the crazy thing was that the day that he got the job to be the special prosecutor in this case was the same day he filed for divorce, and we're gonna get to all that. But before we do, I would appreciate if you could hit that like button. Go ahead and look at that join button so you can become a part of the Hood Trucker News family. We get exclusive content. I've been over the last couple of days been hectic. I've been on 3 planes and like 2 trains or something like that, trying to get to where I need to get to. And then I got a ton of stuff was going on with the Hood Trucker Mobile. It's been held hostage in the mechanics shop. I have a box truck that I'm doing about to do some stuff with in the trucking repair realm. I'm trying to get out of this trucking stuff, but I got a few different irons in the fire, and none of them are working out. So we back in the truck. So yeah, so check that out. Support the channel. We'd appreciate it. It keeps us wanting to do this, and then um, we like to do this, and it costs a few bucks sometimes. So especially when we get the good stuff. I'm on my iPad, so I can't share the screen. There's no screen sharing stuff. I don't have the green screen, so I can't really, it's not the same. I prefer that though. But what's going on with my neck? I'm okay. The other thing is I'm on the. I'm sorry, I got distracted by a message. I'm on back on my fasting stuff. So as you know, I've done keto. I've done a few other of the more not traditional, non-traditional diets. I mean, fasting and keto and Atkins diet, all that. I didn't do Atkins, but I did keto and I did fasting. Um, in the pursuit of weight loss, stuff like that. I have a weight loss channel. It's called the Hood Trucker Fitness. I've started to post there again. I'm not going to post daily stuff until I show the results, which we are making a lot of results. I'm not necessarily going to call them gains like that. Like gains are the weightlifters term for progress. So we're progressing in the reverse. When I started, I was around 222, 224, something like that. I just weighed a day or two ago, 208. Okay, so we lost, what is that? 10, 4, 6. We lost 16 pounds. 8 from 224 to 08, and that was a couple of days ago. Haven't been to the gym in a day or two because I was going, and then kind of screwed up with the diet a little bit because I ate too. I mean, yeah, I had time zone changes, all kinds of stuff. So it thing kind of got screwed up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But anyway, on the Fani Willis, and go check out the Hood Trucker Fitness channel because we're going to be posting some results. I've already gotten compliments. I think this is a result because we lost what was that? What did I say? 16 pounds. So let's say 8. So 2 is 10, and then 20. That's 12, and then 4 more. Yeah, that's 16. So yeah, let's see. Mr. Skinny is a power. That's funny. Kind of threw me off and lost my train of thought. But anyway, okay, we're gonna get to the Fani Willis stuff, right? How we're gonna do it is that I'm gonna play this video right here first, right? It's a video from The Hill. And it's the show called Rising, right? And it's two, I believe, I don't know if they're attorneys or not. I'm not sure what their normal occupation could be, just journalists, but we're gonna listen to that and get the meat and potatoes of what they're about to say, and then there's an attorney from the channel, the Midas Touch, and he hosts I think it's a podcast called Legal AF, and The Hill is gonna show and talk about how Fani Willis is basically in the wrong, not only for her conduct, but for some of her reasoning as to why she's being, I guess you can call it attacked or pursued or questioned. So, but we're also going to go and listen to that guy, Legal AF, where he has a totally different perspective. I think I agree with The Hill more than I agree with the Legal AF guy, but we'll let you decide. So let's get into it. Can't share the screen, but we can. Hopefully, you can hear the audio, and then we'll go from there.
The judge in Donald Trump's Georgia case has ordered a hearing on the misconduct allegations Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is facing. It is alleged that she hired her romantic partner as a top prosecutor in the case against the former president. The accusation first came out last week in papers filed by Mark Roman, a Trump 2020 campaign worker who was one of Trump's co-defendants in the Georgia election interference case.
Okay, so as you heard, it was one of Trump's co-defendants that's bringing the allegations through a divorce proceeding, right? My question, and we're just going to get this right off the bat, why on earth, I don't care if you work at McDonald's, I don't care if you're a police officer or wherever you work at, a trucker, whatever, why are you having a relationship, a personal relationship at the job? Listen, they say you don't you don't ish where you sleep. That's why, because it can get you in trouble. And especially if you are going to hire your side dude to be the prosecutor against the first time that a president has been indicted. You might want to have a squeaky clean everything. I mean, you look at, it's another black woman who's bringing civil charges and has won, and they're just going through the punitive phase. But there's no scandals with her. Like I mean, yeah, you can say it's this or that, but you better be squeaky clean if that's the case.
For the Hill. Roman said the alleged relationship with Fani Willis, the prosecutor, and Nathan Wade, who was the top prosecutor on the case, makes this indictment against Donald Trump, quote, fatally defective. But, per The Hill, the filing did not contain any hard proof of the alleged relationship between Willis and Wade. Judge Scott McAfee scheduled the hearing for February 15th. So this is getting messy, and I think Fani Willis should have known it would. If you're going to mud wrestle with pigs, you're going to get dirt on you.
Absolutely. Like she said, she should have known. She should have known because, listen, I mean, they're going to get into it. I mean, I don't know why you ain't. I mean, you're an attorney, and you know that things come out. I don't know why you going to risk anything to deal with this dude. I mean, if you wanted to deal with him, you probably should have put him on the case. And if you put him on the case, you probably should have dealt with him. So I don't know. But, let's continue.
This is what happens when you get into this kind of legal case with someone with immense resources and immense experience fighting legal cases, not so different from this one. And so this is the kind of scenario where if you're not perfectly clean in how you prosecute your well-resourced opponent, something like this is going to happen.
Absolutely. I was just watching that documentary about the guy that had the skiing accident with Gwyneth Paltrow. You are going to wait 2 years before you sue Gwyneth Paltrow and say that Gwyneth Paltrow hit you on the skis and she ran into you. And then say that because of that, you have a totally different lifestyle, which is why you're suing. And it took away, from the quality of life. You don't do nothing. You don't even go outside. It costs you relationship, all of that. Well, Gwyneth Paltrow hired attorneys who fight wrongful, when you're on the job and you get hurt on the job. What's that? Workers' compensation or something like that. They do that for a living. So they went on the guy who sued Gwyneth Paltrow Facebook channel and downloaded all kinds of travel pictures. He's all over the world and all of that. And when he put his case on, they interviewed one of the jurors, and the juror said, yeah, he had a pretty strong case until Gwyneth Paltrow's attorney went and demolished everything that he was talking about, and down to the point where they were submitting photos of his own Facebook, traveling the world, and just totally destroying his case, and that's why he lost. And not only did he lose, because of course he had more information. They had debunked one of the witnesses or whatever, and then so not only did he lose, but in a civil case, a lot of times they award damages, but they also award percentages of fault. So let's say, for example, I hit you, let's say I run into you or whatever with my shopping cart at the grocery store, and somehow I was claiming that you were at fault. Well, the jury will say, well, Hood Trucker was 80% at fault, and the guy Hood Trucker hit was 20% at fault. So if its judgment is this, he pays 80% and whatever, right? So I think that's how it goes, right? But it's a percentage of fault. This dude lost 100%. So that's a crushing defeat. She countersued for $1. Who knows if she collected, but she got to sue for something. But I mean, it was ridiculous. So same thing here. They go in and they're gonna look at your background, just like they did with the guy. They say, "Hey, we don't. I don't have a quality of life like I used to. Whatever." Okay, well, what about these Facebook pictures that you forgot that it's public and we have access to? So same thing here. You got the other case. You got a divorce case, like because he got hired and he was filed for divorce the same day, and you got all these different things going on. Listen, they're gonna check the background. They're gonna check the background because that leads to credibility. If you're running around here doing corrupt type of stuff, like hiring your side dude to run the whole show, excuse me, and the dude is not really that experienced, as we're gonna find out. Whether it's corruption or not, it's not a good look.
Really sounds like a soap opera when you read about the back and forth of what's going on, the personal relationships and how things are overtwined. I am not someone who is a huge fan of Fani Willis. Do I think Donald Trump did not act within the law? I really don't think he acted within the law. That doesn't mean I love Fani Willis. She's a prosecutor. I am of the thinking that prosecutors are like cops. I don't like people that are a part of the penal state. I have a distrust for them. So I'm happy to criticize Fani Willis here. It sounds like she acted inappropriately, but it does seem like, Donald Trump is using this as a reason to say the entire legal case against me is moot. Amber, I'm curious what you make of the recent developments.
Before we get what she says, absolutely. All they need to do is sway some of the jury. This is all what this is about. Has nothing to do with whether or not Donald Trump is guilty or not, which I think he is, but they need to sway some of the jury, even though the jury's not even picked yet. But that's why they're doing that, to sway the jury and say, hey, she was over there acting inappropriately, and I can't, move forward with a conviction towards Donald Trump or any of his people because, Fani Willis is she is acting inappropriately. So, yeah, that's why they do that.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence that's been presented so far is that this guy filed for divorce on the day he was given this top prosecutor position.
That don't seem strange to you? The day that he was given the top prosecutor position, he files for divorce. Is that coincidence, you think?
And he was paid
and we're gonna get to the paid part, and you're dating the person that put you in that position. Let's see how much he got.
I think like $650,000 for legal services from the Fulton County's DA's office, and then use that money to go on some very lavish vacations with none other than DA Fani Willis.
Huh. So you're gonna have relations with the side dude, promote the side dude to the top prosecutor, give him 650 bands, and then go on lavish trips? At no point did you ever like say maybe we shouldn't do this? What made you think that I was going to be okay? Like, you prosecute Rico, now you're putting yourself in a position to be indicted for the Rico Act. Lord Jesus Christ.
Now, interestingly, as well, Fani Willis has attacked the estranged wife of this prosecutor because the estranged wife apparently subpoenaed Fani Willis, I assume, as part of the divorce proceedings. And Fani Willis says that the estranged wife is trying to obstruct her criminal election interference case against former President Donald Trump.
So you accusing the ex-wife that has nothing to do with that. Now she's subpoenaed, but how is that obstruction? Like, you can't come in for a deposition and then continue with the prosecuting of Donald Trump and his co-defendants. Like, that's going to take so much of your time, and it's going to be obstruction. See, now here's the thing. Now, she went over there and subpoenaed the dude from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, and he did the same thing. And she had a different tone when it was him, and now she's getting subpoenaed. Now she acting like it's obstruction. I believe he kind of said something similar, that I ain't got time to be going down there and doing all that stuff. And she was like, "No, man, you know what I'm saying?" So, I mean, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. Don't be subpoenaing nobody if you over there hobnobbing with the dude that you hired and paid him all that money and taking some of that money and going on lavish trips, and then don't want to go answer to a subpoena. You're out of your mind. You've lost your mind, by the way.
Willis also has not denied that there was an affair. She has not denied taking vacations with this guy. Instead, she has claimed that the criticism of her is due to the fact that she is a Black woman. She appeared at, I think it was a church event recently, where she went on this weird tirade about how everyone expects Black women to be the perfect saviors of the world, and they can't be that. And so at every turn, she is basically trying to flip the script and avoid even addressing the allegations.
Now, I do agree, because it's been multiple attorneys that say that there's a disparity in terms of pay and work and stuff like that when it comes to black attorneys in the state of Georgia, specifically Atlanta and other places, or versus black attorneys versus white ones. But in this case, though, you got a guy that's trying to get out of his legal stuff, right? And you got a prosecutor that was dating the lead prosecutor, paid him money, and went on trips after he paid him the money. I mean, okay, if you're saying that this happens all the time and that's why I didn't do it, and nobody's ever said anything in the past, listen, that doesn't make it right. I mean, when as a child, when you said, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this, and you're not supposed to, your mother, your parents, don't do this and don't do that. Well, Johnny down the street does it. Well, if Johnny jumps off a bridge, you're gonna jump off a bridge too. Same exact thing. This is elementary, like, personal discipline. Like, you shouldn't be doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. And if you're prosecuting the former president, which has never happened in the history of prosecution, you might want to stop that. You might not want to indulge in that. You might want to, make sure that your I's are dotted, the T's is crossed. You might not want to be hobnobbing with a dude you gave $650,000 to. Lord Jesus Christ.
And just claim it's all due to racism, sexism, and politics, which is quite ironic, because I think a lot of people would argue that this case itself was only brought because of politics. And let's also consider the fact that she decided to prosecute this under the RICO statutes, which allowed the opportunity for all of these defendants to be tried separately. They've been able to spread their cases out, which has been a huge advantage to the former president, because the people who go into court earlier, he's able to watch the case play out. He's able to see what works and what doesn't in front of the judge. So I think she has a lot of soul searching to do. It's quite possible that this romantic relationship, though, would be the downfall of a case like this, because of the massive conflict of interest presented between Fani Willis and then this special prosecutor that she appointed and paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to, where they both have a vested interest in delivering a guilty verdict against a political opponent.
Now, I don't agree with that. I don't know how Donald Trump or this other dude is a political opponent, because she's not running for nothing. So I don't believe that. Look, we call them balls and strikes over here. This guy or Donald Trump, neither one of them is a political opponent. So I don't know why she would say that. But I do agree that, you should probably keep your nose clean. And you shouldn't be hobnobbing with a dude you gave $650,000 to. You probably shouldn't do that, right? So, but a political opponent, I don't agree with none of that. So I don't even know what she is. But she's also going to quote later on what Fani Willis said, and she basically said, in that church, number one, and we're going to talk about the next guy too, because he referenced that in a crazy kind of a way too. So. Let's get it all out the way, and then we'll come back.
Now, the Washington Post, who originally obtained McAfee's order, it seems from what they've written that what's going on here is Fani Willis will have to testify and be subpoenaed in Wade's divorce case. And that is actually what would disqualify her from currently handling the case. So it's not the kind of situation where there's been some corruption.
And look, that's a legal maneuver. That has nothing to do with black or white or race or whatever. That's a legal maneuver. I would do the same thing. I don't care if you was black or white. I'm going to do the same thing, because I'm going to try to get you off the case. I'm going to try to get a win, and I'm going to try to get sway a jury. That's listen. Where are you going to get a jury that hasn't seen this on the news, right? That's exactly why they're doing it, though.
That's been exposed, and she'll be disqualified because she's been found to be corrupt, misusing resources. Nothing like that. It's actually that.
How are you gonna be a prosecutor if even if there's no jury trial or anything like that, where there's no conviction or whatever? In the eyes of the people, you look corrupt. So how are you going to now tell a jury, yeah, I know I look crazy and I know I look like I was doing corruption or whatever, but forget all that. Believe me now, and Donald Trump is guilty.
She would be subpoenaed to testify in this divorce case. And so that makes this, I think, very ironic. Just if you're not, operating your own life in a moral way, if there's an alleged affair, if there's any chance there could have been an affair, for you to get subpoenaed in a divorce case, and that gets in the way of you doing your job, step aside. If you're
not to mention, just because you file on that date, if you were intermingling with Fani Willis and you're still married, she was technically dating a married man. But you in church talking about as a black woman, and we not like. We'll get to that.
Dealing with all of this and it's distracting from the case, find someone else who can potentially do a better job prosecuting. And so, I don't know, at this point, it feels a little bit egotistical for her to stay in this role. It's not the kind of scenario where there's public backlash and she's completely innocent. If it was that kind of scenario where they're trying to slander her, without any evidence that she did something wrong, fine. But this seems like the kind of scenario where you have this other legal matter that you're going to have to deal with, and that's actually why you can't handle this case. That seems to me pretty fair, that you have someone else step up and handle the case.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I completely agree. I'm very interested to see how the judge rules on this, and also whether or not she ends up complying with that subpoena to appear in the divorce proceedings.
Yeah.
Typically subpoenas aren't issued without some kind of underlying reason, so just the fact that it's been issued alone is a pretty good indication that this affair probably happened. Even so, if someone is married, the fact that they would be going on lavish vacations with their boss, even if there weren't a romantic entanglement, is
right. 100%. What is you doing on lavish vacations with your boss? And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
Corrupt and just unethical. That alone should have been disqualifying. I actually found the exact quote that she gave at this church. By the way, I think it's worth reading because it's so deranged.
Yes.
She said, "You cannot expect black women to be perfect. We need to be allowed to stumble. We need grace. We are all sinners." So, she's basically...
Did you hear that? Let me back that up one more time. She said this in a black church in front of black women. She's basically saying, don't hold this against me because I need to be able to fail, and we're not perfect and all that. Come on, man.
She said, "You cannot expect black women to be perfect. We need to..."
You can't expect black women to be perfect. If my memory serves me correctly, I just heard that a couple of days ago. Not about black women, but because I required something of someone. They said I was expecting perfection. Lord Jesus, require anything, you got to be requiring perfection.
The exact quote that she gave at this church.
Deranged. She's right.
Because it's so deranged. She said, "You cannot expect black women to be perfect. We need to be allowed to stumble. We need grace. We are all sinners." So, she's basically saying, because I'm a black woman, I deserve some special consideration for my circumstances or the behavior that I've been involved in. And it's just patently...
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're saying, oh, you can't expect us to be perfect. Okay, so how do you explain the black woman prosecutor that's prosecuted Donald Trump in New York who has no scandals?
Ridiculous. It has nothing to do with you being a black woman that you have engaged in unethical behavior.
See, and when you say stuff like that, you lessen that whole argument. Are there situations where race is a factor and it's a major factor? Yes, but this ain't one of them. You was over there hobnobbing with the side dude, and you couldn't be your main dude because he was married. That's why he's the side dude. So you was hobnobbing with the side dude after you gave him $650,000, and you saying that you can't expect me to be perfect. As if not doing that makes you perfect. Lord Jesus.
That you might be disqualified because you have a conflict of interest because you've been issued a subpoena in another case. This is just being a bad prosecutor and being bad at your job. And I think it actually is a disservice to all the Black women out there who are actually doing a good job and are qualified for their positions, for her to try to use that as a defense and as a cudgel against her political opponents.
First of all, I don't know why she keeps calling them political opponents, because they're not political opponents. But she's absolutely right about everything else. Like, you are discounting all the Black women who do their jobs correctly. And you're saying it's because I'm Black. Now, if somebody says, I'm not going to give you this job because you're Black, you want to cry and scream, right? But if you are doing your job, you screw it up, you're saying, well, because I'm Black, you're supposed to give me some allowances. Get out of here. Get that out of here. We don't want to hear that either. We don't want to hear that. Look, we don't want to hear how you didn't get the job because you're Black, but we also don't want to hear how we should give you some allowances because you're Black. That's incredibly stupid. Like, and listen, just because I've been screwed over by doing business with Black mechanics doesn't still. I would probably would think twice, but I would still, like, if it was a Black business, and I'll give you a shot. If you screw it up, I'm going to talk bad about you. But listen, I'm not going to give you no allowances because you Black. Same thing. Listen, well, I'm not giving you no damn allowance because you Black or you a Black woman. Yeah, it's tough to get there, but listen, I'm all for it if you didn't get the job because you're Black. But don't ask me to say, hey, overlook all of this because I'm Black. Get out of here. I'm not going to do that either.
Right. If what's written here by the Washington Post is correct, which, I'm going to hope it is, it does seem that the reason she wouldn't be able to handle the case is if she is subpoenaed to testify in this divorce case, which she kind of spoke to a little bit in that same speech at the church in Atlanta, where she described herself as a flawed person, imperfect public servant, and she even referenced the loneliness of her position.
Now, if you didn't do anything, why are you saying I'm a flawed person? If you're not admitting to everything that they just said, why are you saying that you're a flawed person? And you need to give me some allowances because I'm not perfect. Black women are not perfect. You just lumped it all in there. No. Black people, a serious Black litigators, lawyers, attorneys, professional women, period, is not going to be on board with that. They're not going to be on board with that. Because now you're discounting. You're saying that you're involved with all this because you're a Black woman who's flawed. We're all flawed in some form or fashion. But if I'm speeding and I get a ticket, is it because I'm Black or is it because I'm speeding? Now, if I'm actually speeding and I get a ticket for speeding, it has nothing to do with the color of my skin. I mean, are there situations where you might have me and another guy who happens not to be Black and they come after me? Yes. But was I speeding? Absolutely. Should he give me allowances because I'm a Black truck driver and there's not a whole lot of Black truck drivers? No. I don't even believe that. I mean, if I was speeding. Now, if I get pulled over and if I wasn't speeding because I'm Black, it's something completely different. But if I was actually doing the stuff that they said I was doing, it doesn't matter if the guy doing the exact same speed next to me is white and I'm Black. Doesn't matter. I was still in the wrong.
As a reason for why she was with Wade. So not being able to meet people outside of work, you find your romantic partner at work. I think anyone who is in a serious relationship is very skeptical of, sorry, your husband's coworker was lonely and now your marriage is destroyed. It doesn't sit right with me.
Did y'all get that? They're saying that now they're saying, or now that she's saying that she's lonely at work and that's the only one that's the only dude she could find at the time or something to that nature. Let's run it back.
Who's in a serious relationship is very skeptical of, sorry, your husband's coworker.
Let's go back.
You find your romantic partner at work, public servant. And she even referenced the loneliness of her position as a reason for why she was with Wade. So not being able to meet people outside of work, you find your romantic partner at work. I think anyone who is in a serious relationship is very skeptical of, sorry, your husband's coworker was lonely and now your marriage is destroyed, it doesn't sit right with me. I think there are some scenarios.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, you're a prosecutor and you coming up with these lame defenses. Lord Jesus, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are a prosecutor. You argue cases for a living, and you are coming up with these ridiculous defenses. It's a shame.
Absolutely, that we've seen play out recently in the media, where you've seen Black women treated unfairly. You've seen clear examples of racism in the United States of America. It's alive and well. And when you say that something is racism or sexism when it is not, it really makes it lose weight in the cases where it actually is. It's a disservice to the situations where someone is actually dealing with racism and sexism. And so I think, is that a factor in the Fani Willis case? Maybe initially it was. Her father was a Black Panther. She was attacked for her family's history there. Sure.
Yes.
But at this point in time, it seems it's very clear that's not what's going on.
Yeah. So if you're attacked because your family was Black Panther or your family was in prison or whatever, okay, that's fine. I mean, that's irrelevant, right? But you can't find another dude, so you had to choose this one who's married and works with you, and you promoted and you gave him $650,000. Lame. That's lame. That's lame as hell. Okay, so let's get to the other one where the dude is defending her.
This is Michael Popak, Legal AF. Let's untangle a tangled web that's been woven by Mike Roman, co-conspirator with Donald Trump.
Mike Roman is the co-defendant in that RICO case, right? So he's going to leave a lot of details out that we just heard, right? He's going to skip over a lot of stuff. This is another attorney who argues cases all the time, and he's going to skip over a ton of stuff. Watch.
Georgia, along with his attorney, Ashley Merchant, who apparently is coordinating with Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney's special prosecutor, in his divorce proceeding in order to interfere improperly with the prosecution against Donald Trump and Mike Roman.
Now, she's saying that the ex-wife is involved and to interfere with the with the prosecution, like obstruct it. I don't know how a deposition or a subpoena will obstruct when you've already assigned prosecuting attorneys to the case. Like, you're working on the case, but if you go away for a day to go do this or that, how's that obstruction? Like, I don't know why you hired the side dude to be the lead prosecutor. It's because you know he's inexperienced and you can't allow him to do it on his own. Oh, and by the way, his experience was in question. That's why one of the things that she was talking about in her speech at the church was that the other two people that she hired were white. I guess she hired three of them. Two of them are white, or two of them are non-black, and then one of them is black, and they're questioning the guy that's black. But you put him in position, you gave him money, and then you went on trips with him. It's not a good look.
And now we know all about it in a new filing by Fani Willis just today in the divorce proceeding related to Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor in her office, where they lay out minute by minute what happened on January 8th in the apparent coordination between Nathan Wade, Fani Willis's special prosecutor for Donald Trump, and the 14 others, and the ex.
I mean, I don't really like this dude because he just talks on and whatever, but he'll eventually get to it. Hold on. We'll have to skip ahead.
The special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, who all of a sudden on the same day started filing things and trying to depose Fani Willis to obtain improper discovery and deposition testimony at the very same time that Mike Roman was
improper? Why is that improper? Why is that improper? I don't know why that's improper. Because you ask and you receive, or you get denied. If it's improper, how can that be improper? I mean, they're gonna, they're not going to allow something that's improper. I mean, do they do sometimes? But you're asking for it. See, he's already on the side of Fani Willis because it has to do with Donald Trump. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you got to take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt. That's why we're looking at both sides. But because in the eyes of a lot of people, if this is a prosecution against Donald Trump, ultimately, right? And this guy who's filing these motions and doing these filings is a co-defendant. It's almost like you can't call balls and strikes because your audience is going to be affected. Like some of these big channels, you got to be careful because if they say a certain thing, they're going to lose a lot of audience because people are finicky like that. They don't want you talking bad about the people they don't want you to talk bad about. They want you to talk good about certain people, and they know their audience. Excuse me. So in this case, Fani Willis is going after Donald Trump, which in their eyes is a good thing, which I also believe as well. But we call balls and strikes. If you dating giving them money and going on a trip, come on, man.
Alleging an improper relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade that, in his view, somehow, without any justification or backup, undermines and compromises the criminal indictment and investigation of Mike Roman and others.
It does because it alludes to corruption. It alludes to of conflict of interest. Like you had a romantic relationship with a co-worker who you paid. It's not good.
Without explanation. Now it's all, the worm has turned, and Fani Willis is going to have her day. Fortunately, she spent the part of the weekend having to defend herself from the pulpit of a church, a well-known church.
Now watch this. He mentions, because we all know that she went to church and they gave her the pulpit and they said go at it. He's not going to mention anything specific, and he most certainly is not going to mention how she trying to say that all this is because of racism. And if he does, I can't remember. I heard it already, but if he does, he kind of switches it under the rug.
Georgia on the eve of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, in which she defended her decisions, her judgment, her discretion as a prosecutor to assign whomever she likes to the prosecution of Donald Trump and the others. And the only reason that she's being attacked and that he's being attacked is because of the color of their skin and because they want to try to get her off the case. Listen, we've been following it on Legal AF for the last year. They have tried every which way they can, every which way but Sunday, to get Fani Willis off this case. And when the MAGA House tried and failed to have her come in for an investigation at the House Oversight Committee in D.C., and she schooled the chairman of that committee then. When that failed, when the Georgia GOP right-wing MAGA congresspeople in the House in Georgia tried to have her fired and removed by the governor, and Governor Kemp stood up for Fani Willis and said, no way. When that failed, what are you left with? One of the dirtiest alleged co-conspirators with Donald Trump is Mike Roman, his Donald Trump's election day coordinator, who, as I've said before, is alleged to have been the mule who brought and coordinated the fake elector certificates from each battleground state to have them delivered to Mike Pence in a pressure campaign.
All irrelevant when we're talking about this. I don't know why it keeps going on, but let's fast forward a little bit. I mean, that's just why, because he just talks and talks and talks. But
and Donald Trump, and has decided the scurrilous, scandalous motion against Fani Willis, unsupported by any sworn statements.
Wait a minute. Unsupported by any? She just went in there and said, I'm flawed. I can't be perfect. That's not exactly any.
Or evidence, and not citing to any relevant rule of professional conduct or ethics has been violated. No.
So it's cool? Are you saying that's cool? Stop it. Are you saying it's cool for Fani Willis, who's the DA, to hire a dude who you're seeing romantically, pay him $650,000, and then go on trips. That's not violating any type of ethics. Get out of here. Now you're not. See, this is why they're trying to discredit and discredit her ethically, because you look ridiculous. Because it makes you look ridiculous and not credible to be prosecuting anybody. That's exactly why they do it. And this guy is because he's walking the tightrope, because she said out of her own mouth, "I'm not perfect and I'm flawed." Why would you say that when you're being accused of doing something?
Way how the indictment and the prosecution is somehow compromised by the fact that Fani Willis.
Now you don't understand how making you look unethical is compromising the case. Where did you go to law school? What have you been practicing? Credibility is the foundation of prosecution and defense of a trial. Credibility is it. If you have none, you have no case.
Consenting adult, who's in her 40s, may be going out for drinks and having a relationship of some kind with a friend of hers named Nathan Wade,
who you paid $650,000 to. Come on, man. How you try to act? You really see? That's what I'm saying, man. You got to watch these channels. I watch these a lot, and a lot of times they kind of. I'm trying not to cuss, but a lot of times I get upset because first of all you go on and on, talk about stuff that. Oh, come on, dude. Now I'm about to end this right here, but. Hello?
Hello, this is Andrea from the shipping office. Can you back up in store 42, please?
42?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I gotta go now. Well, we heard a little bit. Like you can go watch it. It's called the Bombshell or whatever. Bombshell drops. I mean, he's trying to defend her, and what I take from that is that it's because she's prosecuting Donald Trump, and he's got a largely they got 2 million subs, and they got a largely Democratic and probably independent following, and they don't want to seem like they're going against Fani Willis. It's all a political deal, right? So they have to be careful because they don't want to lose money. And the bigger you get, the more you're going to run into that, because they got to pay people. And if for example, Fox News, when they went against Donald Trump, they lost a lot of viewers, right? They don't want the same thing to happen, so they can't. Just like CNN, when Joe Biden said what he said, in terms of the election, and it involved I don't want to repeat it because we got trouble, but it involved with Charlamagne the God and what he said about who you are if you don't vote for him, right? CNN did not report that, and it took like all day, and I was watching too. Fox was all over it, CNN wasn't. So it's kind of like the same thing. So I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's embarrassing. I think as a culture, when you do stuff like that and people put you in power, and then you don't stop to think how this could look, because it might be true, like they say, that black people have to be better than their white counterparts just because, and that might actually be true. But when you do stuff like this, you're not doing anything to dispel the stereotypes, right? Because they look at us crazy. Even as a truck driver, they look at me crazy, right? But when you doing screwed up stuff and you're doing all kinds of nonsense, and you're explaining it away because you're black and all that, first of all, you cheapen the legitimate claims of racism, and now you're looking for a way out instead. Hey, you're right, I messed up and whatever, right? So. No, I mean, you want to hold people accountable, which happens a lot. I mean, in everyday life, this has happened to me recently too, where you want to hold other people accountable for doing or not doing things. But when you're in the position of being held accountable, you want to sidestep the accountability. You can't accept it. Why? Because your ego's fragile. And they said it was like an ego thing. And you don't want to look bad because of your fragile ego. You don't want to be held accountable. So, yeah. So with that, we're going to get out of here. I got to go. I think was it 42? I got to go back and I got to go look at the tape now. But yeah, we got to get out of here. Awesome discussion, right? About the whole, both sides of the thing. You know, I'm of the opinion like you shouldn't have been doing it, and don't blame it all because you're black. So with that, we out here. This is the Hood Trucker for the Hood Trucker News.